Now, another wave of pardons by US President Donald Trump. 26 people have been added to a long list of allies who've been granted clemency. Among those pardoned, the father of his son-in-law, Charles Kushner, who pleaded guilty to charges including tax evasion. Also on the list is his former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and advisor, Roger Stone. The move has sparked outrage, with some commentators suggesting that Mr. Trump is trying to erase the most important convictions from the investigations into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. He's now pardoned 4 people involved in that probe. Another 3 have had their sentences commuted. The president's latest pardons comes only a day after clemency was granted to another 15 people. And Will Denslow joins us for more on this from New York. Will, is there a common theme then that ties all these listed names together?
Well, loyalty to the president is certainly seen as a major theme. One example of this, perhaps, is the pardoning of 2 former Republican representatives that he pardoned on Tuesday. They were some of the earliest supporters of his 2016 presidential run, so many pointing to that as a clear parallel. And of course, as you so rightly mentioned, the Russia probe is seen as a central tenet that we've seen over the past 2 days of granting of clemency and pardoning. Of course, the Russia investigation has hung to the president's legacy in his 4 years in office like a shadow, something that the president has been trying to separate himself from, of course, repeatedly over the past few years, calling it a witch hunt, a hoax, and an effort to undermine his presidency. So what we've seen so far, of course, we've seen on Tuesday the 2016 campaign advisor, George Papadopoulos, who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, granted a pardon. Alex van der Zwart, a Dutch lawyer who was convicted for 30 days in prison for lying to the Mueller investigation. Now, just a day later, as you rightly mentioned, his former campaign chair, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone as well, his political advisor, also being granted pardons. Now, according to a Harvard professor, according to their estimates, 65 pardons and commutations that Trump has granted before Wednesday had personal ties or helped political goals. So that is a clear message coming from some legal experts.
So, Will, there's been lots of fresh outrage over these presidential pardons that he's made. He's only got about 26 days left in office. I mean, you've mentioned there the kind of message that he may be sending. I mean, what has the reaction been like?
Well, certainly people are keeping they're holding their breath, and many are expecting plenty more pardons in the coming days. Perhaps we shall see. But as you rightly mentioned, plenty of condemnation on both sides of the political aisle. We've heard from Adam Schiff, who, of course, has been central to these Russia investigations as far as lawmaker investigations were concerned, running parallel to the Mueller probe. According to Adam Schiff, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, he said Trump is doling out pardons not on the basis of repentance, restitution, or the interest of justice, but to reward his friends and political allies, to protect those who lie to cover him up. We've also heard from a Republican lawmaker from Nebraska who describes it as rotten to the core. So strong messages there from both Democrats and some Republicans. But it's not just lawmakers here in the United States that is drawing the attention and the condemnation. We've also heard from the United Nations Human Rights Office with relation to the pardoning of 4 former Blackwater security agents who were convicted of killing 14 Iraqi civilians back in 2007. The message from this UN body is they say that it has contributed to impunity and has emboldened others to commit crimes like those in the future.
All right, Will, thank you very much for staying on top of this story for us. Will Denslow there in New York.